Of course, 30% of Maruti's total sales come from diesel. For Tata Motors, it's 50%, and for M&M, its entire portfolio is only made of diesel cars. Former president of SIAM, Vikram Kirloskar, now joins in with to help us understand how significant this is. Thank you so much, Mr. Kirloskar, for speaking to CNBC TV 18. My first question to you is, have you been able to quantify the kind of hit or the kind of impact this could have on the auto industry as a whole?
Well, before talking about the impact on the auto industry, I'd like to say something. Number one, the auto industry is very keen to protect the environment. We are not polluters. We have done everything as per the regulation. We follow BS4 when the fuel is available. BS4 is a very tight regulation, and we are committed to follow BS5 in 2019 whenever that fuel is available. This is number one. So we are not saying we want to harm the environment and do whatever bad stuff. We want to be a good citizen of India. Number two, if you look at how do you solve a pollution problem, Delhi has a pollution problem which has to be solved. We totally agree with that. But look at the apportionment of where the pollution is coming from. Typically in industry and business, when we start looking at these issues of any kind of problem, we look at the biggest culprit first. We do a Pareto analysis. Now, there's a source apportionment study which is going on, and some of it was leaked out a few days ago in one of the newspapers, in which it said, especially cars are hardly accounting for 8 or 9% of the pollution in Delhi. And that means all cars, old cars, new cars, whatever. If you stop adding BS4 cars, whether they're diesel or not, it's not going to make any difference to the pollution of Delhi. Okay? So we cannot understand this whole decision.
Mr. Kirloskar, let me interrupt you. This is Shireen here, sir. I know you're talking about the IIT Delhi study, or perhaps at least you're alluding to the IIT Delhi study, which the NGT itself has sort of frowned upon, sir. Let's look at the NGT order at this point in time, and let's talk about specifics, because the NGT order very categorically states that as an interim measure, till the next date of posting, we direct that diesel vehicles of more than 10 years of age, as already directed because this was a previous order of the NGT, as well as new diesel vehicles would not be registered in the National Capital Territory. So starting today to the 6th of January, which is when the matter is going to be taken up by the NGT again, no new diesel vehicles can be registered. I would like a specific comment on that.
I think it's a real knee-jerk reaction or knee-jerk kind of decision. I totally admire what the Green Tribunal is trying to do. But, taking a knee-jerk reaction like just stopping this and saying, will that make an effect on cars, on pollution in Delhi in 10 days or 15 days? I doubt it. So how long will it take for the 10-year-old vehicles to be off the road? Taking new vehicles, which are BS4 vehicles, off the road or not registering them, what effect is it going to have on the pollution?
So
why aren't you stopping the power plant?
What is going to be the recourse, sir? The power plants have also already been issued a show cause notice by the Delhi government, Mr. Kirloskar.
Yeah, but why don't they just stop it?
What is going to be the recourse that the auto industry is likely to take? Has SIAM had any informal consultation this evening to take forward what your next course of action is likely to be? Because it's not just cars. The NGT order also says we direct all the public authorities, corporation, the DDA, police and other public departments to prepare an action plan to phase out diesel vehicles, particularly trucks that are being used by these bodies. So it's not just passenger vehicles, they're also now talking about trucks.
See, this is my, it's certainly going to affect the car industry, okay? It's going to affect, Delhi market is one of the largest in the country. And certainly a lot of the players, almost all the players are making diesel vehicles, some more than others. And it's certainly going to affect sales at this time of the year, which is a bright, selling month, number one. So all of us are going to take a hit for sure. But is this the way to address a pollution problem? It's like I'm looking for a needle in a haystack, but I start looking below a light because I can't find the needle in the haystack. This is the kind of a situation. What are the big pollution sources? First, attack those. You're attacking a portion which hardly contributes to the pollution.
as the industry body, sir, is SIAM going to make a representation to the Delhi government as well as the central government? This matter comes up now before the Supreme Court on the 15th of December. Again, this matter is going to look at whether diesel vehicles should be allowed not just in the national capital but across 13 cities. Is SIAM likely to make a representation ahead of the Delhi government as well as the central government to plead your case?
Well, we've just got this decision at 6:30. We've seen it. And we've just started an internal discussion, so I can't comment on what we will do until we have a little more consultation with each other. The only thing I can say is I'm extremely disappointed. This is not with a decision. I'm sure the interest of pollution is very clear, but I think little more science is required to tackle this pollution problem. Science and logical thinking is required to tackle this problem.
Are you now looking at legal recourse? I ask you this in the context of what the telecom industry has done. It's moved courts now challenging the regulator's order on penalizing the telecom industry for call drops. Is the auto sector looking at legal recourse today?
See, as of now, we are following the regulation. We are manufacturing BS4 vehicles and selling BS4 vehicles in India. And that's the only regulation that has been prevailing. There has been no new regulation on. So we are following the regulation. Number one, when BS5 comes, we will follow the regulation. So this is a kind of a thing we need to really consult within ourselves to understand what we have to do.
All right, Mr. Kirloskar, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Vikram Kirloskar there taking us through what industry body SIAM, which is really the industry body for the auto sector, is likely to do, perhaps even represent to the Delhi government as well as the central government, and maybe even legal recourse. It's not just